I don't believe that we should ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government.
We're finally back. It's been forever. It's great to be back. We're Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. Nico, we're diving into the numbers.
Number time! Brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever, hosted in sunny Miami Beach, Florida. It's going to be the biggest Bitcoin event in the world. Speaker list is crazy. Nayib Bukele, Michael Saylor, Saifedean, Jack Mallers, Adam Back, Senator Cynthia Lummis, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Phil and I's panel is just announced. It's called Memetic Warfare. We're going to be with Yellow, American Hodl, Greg Zag, Chair Force. It's going to be lit. Guys, get your tickets quickly. The conference starts in less than a month, and you can take advantage of the link down below for 10% off your tickets to Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 726,480. The Bitcoin price, 38,410. Chain rewrite days, 723. Total public lightning capacity, 3,485.86. Moscow time, 26:03. Blocks to the halvening, 113,520. And the Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity. Samurai Whirlpool is a coin, join, or collaborative spend service. And the unspent capacity in that pool is 4,385.71 BTC, Nico. It's a lot of joining corn right there.
Dude, yeah, I just want to take advantage of keep saying that stat before, Brandon.
Oh, Biden, right? Aren't they going to announce some regulation?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
it's going to be funny.
Holy cow. We are definitely in the then they fight you stage. Anyways, Phil, I got some very, very bullish stats. Let's check it out, shall we? First of all, I got a video from our favorite central banker, and we're totally being sarcastic when we say favorite. I mean, of all the central bankers, he's the least shitty, I guess. Because Christine Lagarde and Jerome Powell, if you were to compare them, I would definitely go with Jerome Powell. Christine Lagarde, she's okay, let's be honest. She's a vampire. Okay?
Yeah.
She's a vampire. 100%. Anyways, let's check out this video. This is kind of a big deal. I mean, it's not kind of a big deal. The fact that they keep mentioning Bitcoin and they keep saying it's not a currency, it's not that, it's just used for speculation. We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to why that's wrong. Anyways, let's check out the video.
The existing digital currencies that again are not backed are really vehicles for speculation. They're not used in payments. They're not a store of value. They're speculation like gold. That's what they're used for. Whereas potentially a U.S. CBDC would have a wider view. I do want to stress we have not decided to do it, but we do understand our obligation is to really get to the bottom and understand both the technical and the policy issues that need to be answered.
Okay,
did you just say ladies
and gentlemen, that is a declaration of war. Make no mistake, that is a declaration of war. He's trying to lie to you straight to the face, and he's telling you, he's letting you know that your Bitcoin is not a store of value. You're not seeing what's there. That's a lie. What your eyes are tricking you. Please buy the slave money, which are central bank digital currencies. That is a store of value. Unfortunately for Jerome Powell, like always, Simply Bitcoin brings the receipts. Anyways, let's start off with Russia, shall we? This is the ruble. The ruble. The ruble. I apologize. That's an all-time high. And again, if you were to use his words, right? If you were storing, oh, by the way, it's an all-time high in the ruble, which means Satoshi the Bitcoin chicken. And for anyone who's new no, bro, it is an all-time high in the ruble. For anyone who doesn't know, Satoshi the Bitcoin chicken clucks every time the price of Bitcoin reaches an all-time price. Not in fiat US caca dollars, but in the Russian ruble, it did reach an all-time high. Anyways, so let's fact-check Jerome Powell once again. That's not a shit coin you're looking at. That is the United States dollar versus Bitcoin. And it has gone down 97.48% in the past 5 years. If we max it out, it has gone down 99.99%. 99.15%. But if you were to listen what Jerome Powell is trying to tell you, he's trying to tell you that it is not a store of value. In fact, if you would have stored your value in the dollar, it would have lost 99.15%. And he also wants to let you know that digital assets, Bitcoin, is not a store of value, but the government-sponsored shitcoin, central bank digital currency that he's trying to get you to believe, like, oh, we're going to check all the boxes and we're going to make sure it's not used to spy on you and abuse you and all that. That is going to be a store of value. These people are full of shit. They're full of shit. All it takes is 30 seconds to verify what they're saying, and it's completely wrong. We have our sources down below. Feel free to fact check us in the comments. But there it is. Search it. Bitcoin versus USD, or USD versus Bitcoin on Google. It's now 99.15%. So if you were to listen to these people that also told you that inflation was transitory, you would be right now, you would be #wrecked. These people don't have your best interests at heart. This is why we must separate money from state. These bureaucrats have absolutely lost their minds, and they have no problem lying to you, lying to your face, if it means they retain some power themselves. Fuck these people. Opt out. Bitcoin. Phil?
Damn. That's spicy start, us coming back, man. Good stuff. Okay, so look, minus 99.14%. That's
0.15, Phil.
My bad. Man, that is equally as bad as any shitcoin that's been minted in, since Ethereum has started. Like, if you think about it, right? Like, that is just the most absolute biggest nonsense there is. And I also just want to point out, right? What's really scary is that he's trying to convince everyone that the government-backed currency is somehow better and more stable, when here we are actually able to show the receipt of its value drop that much against something that supposedly is just a speculation and isn't real. Okay? I just find it, and it's also interesting, though, if you think about it, this is Jerome Powell, and he's also calling gold a speculation. Now, look, by no expanse of the imagination am I a gold bug, okay? I don't really care about gold, but gold compared to the US dollar, gold is better than the US dollar, in terms of holding. But it's interesting that he just brushes gold away into that category and then shoves Bitcoin along with it, and then proceeds to then shill a CBDC shitcoin. Mm-hmm. Think about, like, totally shamelessly, like, these things that are happening in the free market, okay, that are being decided upon by the free market, that don't have any of our control, these things are not real. But this thing that we control, that is complete garbage, not complete garbage, this is real. Like, think about how psychotic this is. Like, how do you reconcile that as a person? How does he even reconcile that? Like, to me, I think he knows he's full of shit. That's what I think he knows. How does he not know? Right?
He's drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, bro. That's what the fuck he's doing.
I know it's their incentives, right? But still, right? Like, at some point, you need to know that you're just full of crap.
Nah, dude. He's drinking that fucking Kool-Aid hard, dude. He doesn't fucking care, dude. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, and I think Satoshi was really smart when he identified this. It's like, dude, the incentives are just not aligned. Like, these people, and again, you know who I heard say this, Phil? It was Andreas Antonopoulos, and he said it perfectly, and he said it at one of his lectures before he became a shitcoiner. It's not that these central bankers are evil. It's that they're just following their own incentives. The problem is that their incentives hurt everybody else, versus the Bitcoin system. You're incentivized by greed, by following your own greed. But by following your own greed, you actually make Bitcoin stronger, and in the process, you help everybody else, right? The miners are just pursuing profit, right? These aren't. You're not supposed to trust them. It's that's the benefit of a trust minimized system, right? But in the process of them mining and them being rewarded for that, they make Bitcoin stronger. In the central banking system, the fiat system, they're following their own incentives, which benefit a few elite group of people, the quintillionaires, and everyone else gets fucked. So it's an unjust system. Bitcoin is a better system because everyone pursuing profit helps Bitcoin, and in the process helps everybody else. Where in the central banking fiat system, these are people pursuing their own incentives, just like in Bitcoin, but in the process they hurt everybody else. Right? Mm-hmm. One system it creates elites, a quintillionaire class. Another system, everyone's equal. Right? And this is what we're fighting for every day.
Who's taking them seriously anymore?
Dude, they take themselves seriously. They smell their own farts, bro. They have all this political power, bro. These people are nut jobs. Now they want to go to war. Like, what the fuck is going on, bro? You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Didn't we just have like 2 years that disappeared because of something that happened, and now all of a sudden that thing disappeared, and now it's wartime?
Oh no, bro, you didn't hear? Putin cured the virus.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah, he's gonna get the Nobel Peace Prize or whatever for curing the virus, dude. You know, it's so funny, dude. Like all the NPCs are like chin diapers. War with Russia! Like, it's so stupid, dude. It's so stupid. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily Fail. Brought to you by Amber App. Check them out, amber.app. It's Bitcoin made easy. Fair spreads, low fees, smart automation, a Bitcoin stacking app by Bitcoiners. The link is down below.
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
All right, guys. We're back. It's been like 5 days at least, Nico? There's been a lot of frickin' fails, okay? So bear with me. We're going to start to cover them. Here we go. We're going to dive into the first one. Just a quick commentary. Incentives matter. Coinbase made $2.2 billion in revenue from transaction fees in Q4. You want to know why there's no Lightning at Coinbase? You want to know why they're enemies of Bitcoin at Coinbase? You want to know why Brian Armstrong is just such an absolute scumbag piece of shit CEO? There you go. Because he is not incentivized in any way, shape, or form to help Bitcoin or to help the Lightning Network. The only way that he's going to do it is if he's somehow forced, or his incentives, which again, somehow forced, if his incentives align with it. What are your thoughts, Nico? Because really, I'm not even wasting my time going into this article. There's no point. It's just a bunch of gibberish about what they earned. I don't care what they earned.
You know what it reminds me when I saw this, when I read this headline and I sent it to you. It just reminds me of one thing. How banks make a fuck ton of money on overdraft fees. It's the same thing. And there's so many exchanges that actually subsidize the fees so it's a good experience for their users, right? You have Cash App, for example. You have Strike that charge you minimal fees, right? Coinbase brings it up, right? So again, it's like you have the worst of fiat, which is what shitcoins really represent, and that's the ethos of that company, dude. And this is why Coinbase is in cahoots with the government. This is why they have such dystopian KYC, where you have to send 3 months of bank statements. You have to, you have to take a picture of yourself 100 times. You have to prove your funds. Like, it's insanity. They also limit to how much you could withdraw. Right, from the exchange, you can only withdraw 25,000, at a time on Coinbase. Right, with other exchanges, there's no limit to how much you could withdraw. So again, dude, it's and again, why are they doing this? Because shitcoins need the state to survive, and Coinbase made their bet on shitcoins. So, dude, it's very, very unfortunate, bro. It's very unfortunate, and these people are enemies of Bitcoin. I don't have anything else to say.
Yep, let's move on from that. Just a nice quick fail. All right, so before we left to Unconfiscatable, somebody tagged us in the issue that happened with MetaMask blocking users. Now, started to dig into this story about MetaMask, and then I got tagged by .coin, I believe it is, about essentially Joe Lubin having some legal troubles with Consensys, which he founded. Now, for the people who don't know who Joe Lubin is, he's also the co-founder of Ethereum. Okay, so, and he's the one that actually founded Consensys, which I'm going to explain all of this in a little bit, but I want you guys to understand before we dive into this story has legs because all of this is connected. Okay, MetaMask, Consensys, and Infura. Okay, all of this stuff is connected, and all of this crap is owned by Joe Lubin, and this ties into the fiat banking system and the censorship that's going on, and it's, if you ask me, shitcoiners are literally mimicking the fiat system. But, like, play by play, I mean, it is just unbelievable, and the mental gymnastics that these people are doing to make themselves think that what they're doing is revolutionary it's actually frightening. Anyways, okay, I had to get that out of the way because I really did go through this story extensively and I hope I can make sense of it for everyone. Okay, here we go. Venezuelan users of crypto wallet MetaMask say they can no longer access it. Users of MetaMask based in Venezuela say they can no longer access the popular digital asset wallet. Okay, so there's some censorship going on there. Unclear at present is the extent to which the reported blockages represented a tightening of rules with respect to other countries sanctioned by the US and other governments. That's right, because you see, the shitcoins, they're companies, and companies have a single metaphorical head you can chop off, as Nico likes to point out. And let's face it, if they decide that there's a problem with who you're transacting with, they're going to make it so that you can't transact anymore. And they're going to force you to censor. Anyways, let's continue on. The Infura team said via its official account that in response to the concerns we've been hearing, we want everyone to know that we corrected the problem so that many of you have pointed out. In changing some configurations as a result of the new sanctions directives from the United States and other jurisdictions mistakenly configured the settings more broadly than they needed to be. So they blocked people in Venezuela randomly and supposedly they weren't supposed to. This was our oversight and we're grateful that it was pointed out to us. Once we determined what happened, we were able to fix the problem and service has been restored. Okay, let's just go take a look very quickly because we're talking about these three things. We're talking about MetaMask, which is a shitcoin wallet that is a browser plugin. We're talking about Consensys, which is this shitcoin development platform that was founded by Joe Lubin, and we're also talking about Infura, which is owned by Consensys. And I just want to point out, MetaMask is also owned by Consensys. So this is Infura's website, world's most powerful blockchain development suite, and here you go. Our suite of high availability APIs and developer tools provide quick, reliable access to the Ethereum and IPFS networks. For the people who don't know what IPFS is, that's the network that hosts all of these bullshit NFTs. Okay, just for relevance. Anyways, let's continue. So, MetaMask. For the, just a quick explanation for MetaMask. What MetaMask is a web browser extension and mobile app that allows you to manage your shitcoin, Ethereum, private keys. It keeps no information on you and you retain all power over your crypto identity. But interestingly enough, they were able to censor transactions from Venezuelans. So they may not collect any information, but somehow they were able to stop those transactions. By default, MetaMask accesses the blockchain via Infura, which is unavailable in certain jurisdictions due to legal compliance. Okay, so you see what's happening here. So MetaMask connects to Infura, all right? And Infura is owned by Consensys. Just keep the strings with me, okay? Here we go. Now, thank you, .coin, for tagging us in this. And indeed, the plot does thicken. What is Phil talking about? Consensys founder accused of $39 million fraud involving JPmorgan. JPmorgan, Jamie Dimon hates Bitcoin. Bitcoin's terrible. It's garbage, right? But he's connected with the shitcoins. Anyways, let's continue on here. Consensys AG, the company behind MetaMask and other blockchain projects, has to undergo a special audit after 35 of its ex-employees, making up more than 50% of its shareholders, requested legal action against the company on March 1st. Although the company is headquartered in Brooklyn, New York, it also has a corporate office in Zug, Switzerland. So you guys are going to see this. Okay, this is also connected to... So this is actually pretty bad. okay? Because we've already shown you the strings that pull together Ethereum to the World Economic Forum. And here, this is another piece, right, where you have, this is the quote-unquote main scaling layers of Ethereum, okay? We're talking Consensys, we're talking Infura, all this stuff that makes Ethereum do the crap that it does. And these guys are intertwined with JPmorgan and the traditional banking system. So again, this is not freedom money. This is shitcoins. Anyways, as the founder of CAG, Joseph Lubin is the majority shareholder of both CAG and CSI. The latter stands for Consensys Software Incorporated, in charge of handling intellectual properties developed by CAG, which is Consensys. This includes two of its most successful products, MetaMask and Infura, a tool for developing dApps on Ethereum blockchain. So he owns this all. This was dubbed Project North Star. The transaction gives JPmorgan, the world's largest bank, a stake in both MetaMask and Infura. So they're right away. I mean, you're going to tell me that they're not going to be able to stop transactions when JPmorgan is directly involved, directly funding that development? Anyways, this is scary stuff. This is such bullshit. The entire Ethereum ethos has been built alongside decentralization when we've already shown that 70% of their nodes run on Amazon Web Services. Suffice to say, the involvement of JPmorgan in the ecosystem's key cogs represents a severe erosion of that image. No. Make no mistake, we always knew it was a total shitcoin, okay? But check this out. This is some juice right here. With such a potential roadmap on the horizon for MetaMask, we may see a future in which a CBDC is the wallet's main occupant, determining users' purchasing habits while MetaMask becomes decentralized in name only. No, it's already decentralized in name only. Don't try to pretend. But you see right there, there's the CBDC creek. And wait, it's not over yet. This is another piece to the same article. Consensys has a multi-year commercial arrangements with JPmorgan and MasterCard, and commercial activity happening with UBS. When we say that this is an extension of the traditional banking system, we're not lying. That's what shitcoins are trying to do. They are absolutely trying to pull you into the same levers of centralized control that we currently deal with today. With MasterCard as an investor, Consensys engineers are using the Quorum blockchain to build a permissioned network for commerce and finance. That's right. They are dumb enough, okay? It's so insane that they actually think that they're going to trick people into becoming prisoners of their intranet. Literally, this is what they're trying to do. I mean, this is the way that I see it, okay? Now, check this out. This is Consensys' website. Just to give you an idea, take a look at the products that they own. All the products I just mentioned to you, which are quote-unquote decentralized. I don't know how else to spell this out, really. I mean, this is complete nonsense. It's all centralized garbage. Now, we covered Nunchuck already a week ago, 2 weeks ago. This is from a Bitcoin company. What I just showed you, right, was all those shitcoin companies bowing their heads, right? Bowing their heads to the banking overlords and letting them stick their tentacles in there and, run amok. And as we can see, start to censor transactions. It's not decentralized. It's not freedom money. Remember the response from Nunchuck. We don't collect any user information beyond email addresses. We also don't hold any keys. Therefore, we cannot freeze users' assets. We cannot prevent them from being moved. We don't have knowledge of the existence, nature, value, and location of our users' assets. This is by design. But you see, the shitcoiners like Consensys are going to try to have you believe that they're building Web3. They're not building Web3. Companies like Nunchuck are helping to build Web3. Bitcoin is the base layer of the real Web3. There's other developers like PyBlock that are developing decentralized chat applications that run on Lightning. That is the real Web3. This is garbage. This is permissioned intranet crap. What happened to the intranets? They are ghosts. None of them exist anymore. Okay? I got nothing else on this, man. I'm just disgusted. I really, it freaked me out. I didn't realize how this all pulled together.
Dude, I mean, look, you're spot on, Phil. Spot on. Look, at the end of the day, what is the goal here? The goal is to separate money from state. You cannot separate money from state unless the money is decentralized. Because if it's not decentralized, the government, the state, is going to coerce it into an extension of the current system we have today. That is an exclusionary system that deems half of the world unbankable. Okay, so it's a system. It's an anti-human system. It's a system it's a system of exclusion, right? As much as they would like to tell you otherwise, which we've brought in the receipts, we've showed you guys on so many different episodes, the cases in Afghanistan, the cases in and Venezuela, right? Venezuela was just mentioned again, right? Just because you happen to be born in Venezuela, an IP address, now you can't use the MetaMask wallet to, deal with your Ethereum, right? And the MetaMask wallet is one of the most popular ways to deal with a lot of your Ethereum tokens. This is why open source is important. This is why Bitcoin puts decentralization above all. Because there is no head to chop off. There is no company to pressure to censor other people. And these shitcoins, they pose as decentralized. They pose as they have the same technology as Bitcoin. But in reality, as soon as there's pressure on top of them, and the pressure is just going to continue ramping up as NGU technology does this thing, what is the first thing that they do? They fold. This is why one of the chair members of Ethereum is on the World Economic Forum. They're friends of the state. They don't mind. They don't mind shooting Bitcoin in the back. They don't mind shooting the revolution in the back if it means getting their Lambos. Don't get distracted. Focus on the signal, and the signal is Bitcoin. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily Meme Review. Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by toxic, savage Bitcoiners. This pure pleb signal in this zine. Every artwork has every copy has different. Every volume has different artwork. There's only 1,000 copies made per volume, so they're scarce. Get your print of Citadel 21 today before they run out. All right, the first meme is by Run the Banks. Shout out, fellow pleb. Giving your boss a formal letter of resignation like a professional employee. Quitting by using a meme. My last day will be the 15th since... Savage. They bought Bitcoin. Okay, anyways, this is by Chairforce_BTC. Bitcoin can't fix everything. You're not better than me in every way. I can do something that you can't, lol.
This, you know what? This is a redo, and it's awesome because
that's baby powder. That's baby powder, by the way.
Of course it is.
All right, moving on. By self-banked, conzillionaires, debt slavery, fiat inflation, COVID. Virus, MSM, mainstream media, psyops, war, Bitcoin is your life to. I would stop calling them mainstream media because they're not. They're legacy corporate media. We are the mainstream media. Joe Rogan has 11 million average viewers on his podcast, which is why they're trying to censor him. And Tucker Carlson, which is the number 2 watch show, has 3.5 million. So Joe Rogan is wrecking people. They're no longer mainstream. Anyways, so stop calling them that. Anyways, first meme ever, but I couldn't find myself. Peter Schiff taking gold to Ukraine to help. Oh, man, that is hilarious.
The good one.
All right, move on to the next one by Conspiracy Bot. Radishes are looking good, yeah. Ever wonder what's going on in the cities? No, not really. Yeah, get out of cities, bros and gals. Get out of the cities, bros and gals. Like, this shit's going down. Anyways, and next one by Rothmus. Experts are just propagandists who are paid by governments and global corporations to tell you how to think. Beware of it. I agree. Listen, look, put the conspiracy stuff aside. When someone tells me they're an expert, I highly doubt what they have to say. Phil, do we call ourselves experts? No. It's
and you should doubt what we say and verify it.
It's like no one's an expert. The experts are always wrong. That's the thing. If you would have listened to the experts about inflation, if you would have listened to the experts about taking certain precautions for the virus, you would have been catastrophically wrong. So it's like this expert stamp of approval. Like, no, I don't have. If anything, the last 2 years have taught us not to trust experts. Do your own research. Look into things yourself. Anyways, Phil, you were going to say something before I cut you off?
No, I was just totally agreeing with you and just being like, look, these experts, it's academic expertise. So I understand that, and I can appreciate that, but at the same time, it's like that doesn't all of a sudden mean that you're an expert in everything. And just because that you did something very well, it doesn't mean necessarily that you don't have to continue to research and continue to do the right thing. So just having the stamp of approval of expert doesn't really mean anything, as we've shown, and not even that we've shown. As look, the proof is out there. We're seeing it every day.
I completely agree.
It's scary.
So this is hilarious, right?
Another on the banks one.
And I mentioned this earlier, right? That all of a sudden Ukraine's a thing, and then just people are just forgetting about, the freedom convoy, the border crisis, Biden's mental capacity, the crime surge, Maxwell trial, inflation, high gas prices, some interesting documents to say the least, something fishy. It's funny because this is a picture from the most secure election ever, Joe Biden, 80 million votes, and, they're putting the Ukraine flag. It's absolutely hilarious. It's hysterical. Very good memes today,
Very well
Phil.
done.
I'm very impressed. Good choices. For that,
Thank
Phil,
you.
I'm going to give it a very special score. I'm going to give it a die, because it's singular, that I got at Unconfiscatable. I'm going to give it
The black one.
I'm going to give it an unconfiscatable die, Check it out. Very cool, right?
I love it.
Anyways, what would you give those memes?
I am also going to give a very special score. It was a present that you gave me that you got at Unconfiscatable at the poker tournament. That's right. That's right.
It's a bounty
Took
card.
somebody out. Somebody did very well at the poker tournament. Not me. I don't play cards. I suck at cards.
I got 8th place out of 100. But anyways, to give Phil, why don't you show it so I could explain to everyone what it was?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so it was the poker tournament that Tone Vase throws for Unconfiscatable. The ending, if you won, it's like 1 Bitcoin prize. But if you took somebody out, you got one of those bounty cards. On each bounty card, there's 0.0001 Bitcoin on them. And I got 3, and I gave 1 to Phil. So some backstory on there. And of course, guys, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms, because we do talk shit about these powerful central bankers like Rumble.com and our personal favorite, BitcoinTV.com. BitcoinTV.com, yeah. They don't censor there because Bitcoin TV. And of course, make sure to subscribe to us on our Telegram channel, and you could link us some dank Bitcoin memes to review so we could review them on the Bitcoin meme review. Yeah. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the daily news. Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin art sculpture. Opens up, you put your hardware wallet in there. Also, the famous 3D printed Bitcoin honey badger. You could also put your favorite hardware wallet in there. Very cool stuff. And you can take advantage of the link down below for 5% off anything on the store, CryptoCloaks.com. Like I predicted last week, like I said, I specifically said they are going to use the situation in the Ukraine to try to attack Bitcoin. And that's exactly what they're doing. Check out this article. U.S. Democrats ask Treasury what affects crypto assets half on Russian sanctions. In a letter penned to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Wednesday, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Mark Warner, Sherrod Brown, Jack Reed voiced their concerns that criminals and rogue states are using crypto as a new means to hide cross-border transactions for nefarious purposes. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Goes on to say the letter also provides specific examples of what the U.S. sees as the crypto community's disregard for financial law. One such instances includes mining company Marathon Digital's refusal and then backflip in May over its decision to process transactions from wallet listed on the Office of Foreign Asset Control's specially designated nationals and blocked persons. I told you this. Here you have Elizabeth Warren trying to fundamentally change how Bitcoin works by pressuring miners, specifically public miners, which are they're the lowest hanging fruit, to start censoring transactions on behest of the U.S. government. The OFAC is the Treasury Financial Intelligence and Enforcement Agency focused on issuing and enforcing sanctions based on U.S. foreign policy and national security objectives. The cryptocurrency industry may not be fulfilling its responsibility to comply with U.S. sanctions, the letter says. OFAC's October guidance notes that many members of the virtual currency industry implement OFAC sanctioned policies and procedures months or even years after commencing operations. But wait, there's more. Senator Elizabeth Warren is crafting legislation she hopes will make it harder to use cryptocurrency to evade sanctions. The proposal, still in draft form, has taken on new urgency as bipartisan concerns grow that members of Moscow's elite might be able to sidestep sanctions by using digital currencies. It aims to force companies to choose between doing business in the U.S. or with sanctioned people or entities threatening secondary sanctions on foreign crypto exchanges. Again, this is Senator Lindsey Graham. Cryptocurrency is rearing its ugly head here. This is, by the way, this is the same senator that wanted to build a backdoor in encryption so that the U.S. government could get access to your messages. This is absolutely bonkers. Anyways, it will be extremely challenging to evade our sanctions without detection, the official said. While there are some deficient exchanges that might be willing to offer services to sanctioned persons and entities, they will not be able to support a large economy. Okay, guys, I want you to understand something. When they say sanction, they mean all the innocent people in Afghanistan. They mean all the innocent people in Venezuela. They mean all the innocent people in Iran. They mean all the innocent Russians that have nothing to do with the government. They want those people othered. They want those people not to have the ability to transact. And this is why they're so scared of Bitcoin. This is why they're attacking it. Anyways, one of the draft provisions in Warren's proposal would seek to make it easier to verify the identities of customers and transfer to private crypto wallets, which is what we've also been saying. They're going to try to demonize self-custody. Because when you self-custody Bitcoin, like I said earlier, Bitcoin meat space regulations don't apply to Bitcoin. So how do they try to kill it? They want to stop self-custody. They want your Bitcoin on an exchange which they could regulate, on a centralized exchange. By requiring financial institutions to keep detailed records and submit reports to the Treasury Department. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN, is in the preliminary stages of drafting a similar rule, but Warren's bill would codify that requirement. It's already happening. Coinbase says it's blocking 25,000 Russia-linked crypto addresses. Coinbase indicated that the 25,000 blocked accounts were related to Russian individuals or entities we believe to be engaging in illicit activity. Since they're not engaging in illicit activity, it's
like trying to feed their family or something?
We believe they're engaging in illicit activities. Here's a thread by Jake Chervinsky, and he says, Russia can and won't use crypto to evade sanctions. Concerns about crypto's use for sanctions evasions are totally unfounded. They fundamentally misunderstand how sanctions work, how crypto markets work, how Putin is actually trying to mitigate sanctions. I'll explain. To begin, I want to express my strong and unequivocal support. Okay, you guys get it. Yes, we all support Ukraine. I think what Russia did and invaded was really fucked up. Okay, anyways. One way for the free world to fight back is by imposing severe economic sanctions on Russia. Sanctions are a foreign policy tool to use to influence the behavior and diminish the capacity of foreign actors. They seek to deter and punish bad actors through economic consequences. Here's how U.S. sanctions work. First, sanctions must be authorized by the President in executive order by Congress and legislation. Second, the Office of Foreign Asset Control designates specific targets for sanctions: individuals, companies, governments. OFAC adds targets. This is what we were talking about. To be most effective, U.S. sanctions laws are extremely broad, right? This is what I'm talking about. They have to be broad by design, but them being broad, they hurt millions of innocent people. First, Russia's access to global payment network has nothing to do with the goal of primary sanctions, cutting Russia off from the U.S. economy. It's illegal for U.S. persons to transact with SDNs, period. It does not matter if they use dollars, gold, seashells, or Bitcoin. U.S. persons around the world are cutting ties with Russian SDN right now, regardless of what payment system they were using. Probably there's zero reason to think crypto's existence will convince any of them to willfully violate sanctioned laws. What about SWIFT? SWIFT is a messaging service that facilitates interbank transactions. Kicking Russia banks off SWIFT will make it harder for them to conduct business, but it's not the same as banning Russia from the global financial system. Rather, as with primary sanctions, the goal is to deprive Russia of services offered by the free world. SWIFT is a service. Russia doesn't get to use it anymore. That's the same sanction. Crypto works the same way. U.S. crypto companies offer a variety of services. Russia doesn't get to use them anymore. That's the sanction. Just as with all U.S. goods and services, Russia's ability to use the underlying technology doesn't let them evade the sanction in any way. Can crypto mitigate sanctions by offering an alternative to SWIFT? Not really. If Russia wants an alternative, they're far more likely to use China's CIPS, which we'll cover tomorrow, by the way, guys, than a public network they can't control. You get it? You get it? These psychopaths, they're not talking about cutting Russia away from U.S. companies, which is what sanctions are intended to be. They essentially want to completely destroy Russian people's ability to transact with anybody. This doesn't work. They're just going to find an alternative. By the way, they've already found an alternative, which is the equivalent of Visa and MasterCard, but the Chinese version of it. And the Chinese version of the SWIFT system. Which, by the way, in the process, destroys the hegemony of the US dollar. These politicians, it's not even about, it's not enough cutting them from US businesses, because that in itself is catastrophic. They want to destroy Russian people's ability to transact, period. Even though they have nothing, they have no responsibility for what their government does. By the way, the US already does this to Iran, to Venezuela, to Cuba, and none of those countries have had a regime change. They've just figured out a way around it. This is about control. This is literally about control. It's about nothing else. This is bonkers, Phil. This is bonkers. And again, it's not useful for Putin. Why is it not useful for Putin? Because he's not going to be able to control Bitcoin. Just as much as Elizabeth Warren isn't going to be able to control Bitcoin. And if you can't control Bitcoin, then you can't manipulate the monetary policy to your advantage to fund your wars and all your bullshit. So, dude, we have a hell of a fight in front of us. Like I predicted last week, this is exactly what they're doing. They're capitalizing on the crisis in Ukraine to try to go after Bitcoin. Of course they will. Let's see what this executive order by Biden will be. According to Senator Lummis, it's just going to be some studies to get all the executive agencies all in one go to try to coordinate, to try to regulate, or to try to study it. But again, I think, this is the last point I'm going to make, nation states and their leaders are going to have to come to terms with the fact that you can't regulate the honey badger. It's a parallel system outside of the legacy system that allows everybody around the world, no matter who you are, what your skin color is, what your religion is, to transact freely amongst each other. And on top of that, if you save your wealth in Bitcoin, it can't be confiscated, can't be debased, and it's actually deflationary. So, dude, like, what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to convince people, use our central bank digital currency so that we can steal from you to pay for ourselves, to pay for the bureaucracy. And by the way, you can't transact with whoever you want. Like, I think they're fighting a losing battle, but I think their egos, and I think the fact that they've spent so much time being able to control people's money doesn't allow them to understand what's at hand here. Doesn't allow them to see the paradigm shift that is happening. My thoughts.
That was just enraging. That's all I have to say. Going through that was absolutely, I can't believe, I shouldn't say I can't believe. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I'm extremely disappointed. So look, I find, this whole thing with Russia supposedly using cryptocurrency to get around these sanctions, I think you make a very good point, right? Putin can't control Bitcoin, right? The US can't control Bitcoin. As we've said before, you can't separate freedom from Bitcoin. Okay, so we understand all these aspects. And you know what? We've seen one attack after another this year, right? The ESG stuff was pretty strong, okay, for a while, and then it cooled off, and now we've got something new, right? We've got what's going on in Russia, so now this is where they're turning up the noise on this. And, oh, damn it. I lost it. All right, I was totally drawing a blank there, okay? But what I was trying to say was that, okay, the politicians paint with a broad brush. And right now, I'm obviously painting the politicians with a broad brush, so that's not helping either. But what I'm trying to say is that, like Nico alluded to, we are punishing everyone. We are punishing everyone for the crimes of very few. So it's absolutely, I think it's really disingenuous, and it bothers me a lot when I see politicians talk about these humanitarian efforts, because I look, don't get me wrong, Elizabeth Warren, and the Democrats talk, I'm not taking a stab at the Democrats. I'm just saying Elizabeth Warren specifically, talks a lot about humanitarian efforts, but at the same time uses this false narrative to essentially try to block true freedom money, only because their incentive comes from the fact that they need the money printer. So they pretend that they're doing good things. They pretend that they're helping the world. But really, it's an incredibly exclusionary system. Okay? And everybody is essentially walking on eggshells. And that's the way I see it. Like, I do see it as an exclusionary system. You're just not in. And as a result, as you were pointing out from that thread from Jake Chervinsky, like, you're just outside of the system. You're just othered. This is what ends up happening. So this is really scary stuff. And this is absolutely the then they fight you stage. But look, they really can't regulate Bitcoin. As we've alluded to multiple times, they can only regulate the on and off ramps. They can definitely cause some short-term volatility in the price because of perception. But at the end of the day, another block is going to get mined and Bitcoin is going to live on. They truly cannot stop Bitcoin, and they know it.
Yep.
They absolutely know it.
They know it, and they're freaking out. And the question that I want to leave to you guys is, do you want to live in a world, because these are the two options, do you want to live in a world where an elite group of bureaucrats get to decide who gets to transact with who? Or do you want to live in a world where it's an apolitical money that allows everyone to transact with anybody freely? Right? That's essentially the question that I have to leave for you guys. We fundamentally believe that no one should have the power, even with the best intentions, have that much power to get to decide who is othered and who is not othered. Very fucked up. It's a system of exclusion, right? So anyways, that's the last thought that I want to leave for you guys. And like I said, this is going to be a hell of a fight. Get your Bitcoin off the exchange, because if it's on the exchange, you're powerless in this, right? But anyways, Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out. CipherSafe.io. Store your seed in the Cipher wheel, or the all-new Cipher Grid. Comes complete with punch tool and tamper-resistant wire. All right, we've got BISQ version 1.8.4 that was released. That's down below in the show notes. All right, I said it already twice. We're back, and you know the deal. If you want to check out our audio-only episodes, go check out Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Anchor.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Guys, before we go, I want to give a very special shout-out to our awesome sponsor, rephard.com. Really cool hoodies. Phil and I try to wear one every different ones every episode, and you can take advantage of the link down below for 15% off anything on the store, rephard.com. Guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, we want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from the shitcoiners, central bankers, all the above, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective. Definitely consider subscribing to Simply Bitcoin. We'll see you tomorrow, guys, for a brand new episode.
We're run by depraved vampires.